назло судьбе. Здесь на берегу. На закатном берегу.
Yes, so Hairless here. Today we'll be doing a performance of Dimash. This is a song called I Miss You. It's in Russian and the Russian title is Я скучаю, тебе. This performance is from the concert The Song of the Year 2020. It was written by Igor Krutoy. I've really enjoyed his works and his songs so far, so hopefully that trend continues with this one. As I mentioned, this is a Russian song sung in Russian. Here are the lyrics so you can have a read through before we begin. It's another love song about longing, a desire to be with a love. So without further ado, let's get straight into it.
На закатном берегу место нашей встречи, а над берегом кружит стая птиц. Словно в первый раз я стою сейчас здесь на берегу, но знать не могу, где же ты, с кем же ты? Я скучаю по тебе, а твои глаза и по твоей улыбке, и сюда назло судьбе.
Moving the flowers.
Приду опять наши встречи ждать.
This is a very interesting one. There's many interesting things that we're hearing, and I think the trend is continuing. I do like what I'm hearing so far. This isn't the longest performance, but we'll still do our first pause here, analyze some of what we've heard. So if you don't want to hear my analysis, go to the timestamp. Back to the opening. Very interesting opening. I like it a lot. The word eerie comes to mind. That motif that we hear, the accompaniment, I'll show you on the piano what we're hearing. Even though here it sounds like it could be a guitar, almost maybe a synthesizer with an effect on it. But on top of that, we hear it's that really peculiar synthetic sound. It's almost metallic sounding. I associate a lot of sounds with textures, so that's what's going on my head. I'm just thinking metallic. The music, the atmosphere it creates, overall, in this introduction, the word extraterrestrial comes to mind. It's just a bit strange. But I did notice that the screen on the back, it is showing these sort of planetary images. So I think the use of the word extraterrestrial is fair, maybe? That three-note pattern itself, though, it's very chromatic, and chromaticism is a powerful tool. You would have heard me talk about that before in previous videos. In this case, these three notes, this is the absolute minimum they can move to ensure that we hear three different notes as the chord changes. Usually you can hold on one note as the chord changes, or you might have to jump up by a few notes. This is the bare minimum they can do while staying as close together as possible and changing note every time. To me, it's this subtle feeling of closure, keeping things close together and quite tight knit. Then we get these nice arpeggiated figures above and some bell chimes coming in too. The sound is becoming a little bit less peculiar and a bit more ethereal. Dimash then enters and we get a beat in the background, but it's quite muted.
На закатном берегу место нашей встречи,
It's subtle, almost like a heartbeat in a way. Dimash's melody, it's reserved. He's singing at a comfortable lower range. There's nothing extravagant about it. This really allows us to listen out for the supporting instrumentation better. We have a figure quite similar to the opening I showed you on the piano.
На закатном берегу место нашей встречи.
But now it's much more interesting rhythmically. Let me notate Dimash's melody and the little accompaniment that we hear. I'll put it in sheet music. Don't worry if you can't read sheet music. This is just to show how irregular the rhythms are and how they contribute to this feeling of weirdness. The music is a little bit unsettling in a strange kind of way. I go back to my initial word for it, eerie. The accompaniment, like I mentioned before,
На закатном берегу.
sounds like it's being played on a guitar or something, so every note that's played does resonate. Every note in the accompaniment is disjointed to really exaggerate each note's entry and the syncopation they cause against Dimash's melody. Dimash's melody is the top line. And if we want to hear just the accompaniment by itself, he finishes that phrase with air, just pure air, and then the lovely airy voice for the next phrase.
Словно в первый раз я стою сейчас. Птиц. Словно в первый раз я стою сейчас.
This phrase, I don't know why it's highlighting the incorrect bit in English, but this phrase is saying, it's like I'm standing here for the first time. There's an element of doubt to it. Then the next phrase, that's where the conviction comes.
Здесь на берегу.
There's less air in his sound, so it's a more naturally powerful voice. He's saying that he's certain, he's here, he's on the shore. There's no doubt now, he is there. The second half of the lyrics, quite interesting though, all things considered. And we now have a change to the major. This is a big F major chord.
Здесь на
Everything's flowing more, the texture is smooth, the instruments are playing sustained notes.
Здесь на берегу, но знать не могу.
The beat has dropped out, and then we get some lovely swooning, I'll call it, by Dimash.
Где же ты? С кем же ты?
These glissandos, these slides between the notes, intense vibrato towards the end of the phrase too.
С кем же ты?
Then the beat comes back in, and then we get the chorus.
Я скучаю по тебе.
So this is the same chord progression and an extremely similar melody to another Dimash song. Comment down below which you think it is. I will reveal in a bit, but no cheating. The difference here is with the melody, the first three notes. We have the first note, then the second note, and then the third note returns to the same note as the first note. I'll sing the melody to the other song it sounds like on top of this. Then, after the repeat of the second part of the sequence, in the other song we finish in C major, but here we finish in E major. If you haven't guessed it, the other song is Unforgettable Day. Please check out my reaction to Unforgettable Day. I really enjoyed that one. Card for that will be up here. I love Dimash's airy singing voice, I do. And Igor's chord progressions as well. What a combination. Alright, this is where we got to. Let's carry on.
Для кого-то так легко, для меня так сложно. Жизнь свою начать с чистого листа. Я так не могу здесь на берегу. жду с тебя. Где же ты? С кем же ты? Я скучаю по тебе. По твоим глазам и по твоей улыбке. И сюда назло судьбе я приду опять нашей встречи ждать.
Oh, classic key change there. This is surprising because I'm going to talk about that in a second. I've got a few other things I'd like to say. I won't forget. Okay, so with what we just heard, it seems like there's a bit more freedom now. Dimash, he kind of moves up in pitch.
Меня так сложно жизнь свою начать чистого.
Implementing a bit more tempo rubato, which means just being a bit more free with the rhythms, slowing down here or there or speeding up. I found the backing vocals, how synthetic sounding they are, really interesting and quite a nice touch considering the atmosphere of this song. Again, contributing to this kind of otherworldly feel. Very subtle, but quite impactful. And they're airy too, which I love. It just sounds like Dimash singing with his airy voice. They're quite different actually from the backing vocals that come afterwards. Let's find that. Right, so what I wanted to say, we got this bit, and I wasn't sure if we were then going to get Dimash soaring, ascending into the skies. He came back down. I was quite surprised at that. Is Igor teasing us with this? Maybe they're saving it for later? I mean, where we just paused now, he does go up, and it's not uncommon for Dimash to enter those kind of super high territories towards the end of these performances. It would be quite funny if he comes down again from where we just paused, but I don't know if Igor would tease us twice. Then the chorus, it's pretty much a repeat of last time. I might as well point out the octave unison we hear in the melody. So the melody is replicated but just lower down. It just adds some depth to the sound, both texturally and in terms of pitch, because it's literally lower down. Also, compared to last time, there's more power to the sound. This is what it sounded like last time. A softer sound, again, more air, a lighter sound. Okay, we paused after Dimash sang the super powerful D, which is 2 notes above the wow operatic tenor moment. And Dimash was using a blended voice like he so often does for these powerful high moments. So let's carry on from there. I don't think they're going to come back down like they did last time. Surely not, right?
На закатном берегу место нашей встречи. На закатном берегу я скучаю по тебе.
I was looking down because I was getting goosebumps on my arm. Oh, the ending, like the beginning. So different to everything else I've heard by Igor, but also so many of the similar elements. His composition style is really, really unique and very cool. It really reminds me of another song. I can't remember which one. A few come to mind. I don't think this is it, but it also reminds me of this song. Yeah, really, really interesting, cool, strange, peculiar, eerie, all these adjectives. Alright, a few final things from that last section. From where we carried on, Dimash soared up and we had this really obvious key change. Igor's method for the key change this time is Dimash himself. Everything else cuts out, we have this powerful note and then a nice chromatic inflection to emphasize our new key. Dimash moves to a C sharp and the new key is C sharp minor. There was a very cool vocal run that he did and I really like the rhythms on it as well when he descends. Dum ba dum ba dum. Interesting scale down. And I like how he goes from the blended voice at the start down into his chest voice and then into the operatic male soprano Dimash, as I like to call that voice of his. For context, that note there, that's higher than your typical chorister is expected to sing. And then when he moves up, that top note, that's a bit higher than your typical soprano is expected to sing. Then he has this sequential passage moving down. So it's the same little chunk of melody, repeated but just a bit lower each time. And it works nicely with the song's melody, which is being sung in the chorus in harmony. Just there, he's singing direct dissonances against the chorus. He's singing this note, and they're singing. So if we move them together, his note is really the dissonant note in this chord. We have an F sharp minor chord. His note is a G sharp. If we bring it down, he is the clash note. And then, yeah, a nice return to this atmospheric music, just like we heard in the opening. Now though we are in a different key, if we compare it to the opening, I don't think I've heard a song of Igor's where they don't change keys multiple times. I mean exclusively Igor. I'm not talking about Mademoiselle Hyde, for example, which was with Lara, which I did love. Do check out my reaction to that as well. Really like that. Both by Dimash and Lara. Card up here. Anyway, so now we are in C sharp minor, whereas the beginning was in A minor. So it's a fair bit higher. As Dimash is speaking so low, kind of in a vocal fry.
На закатном берегу место нашей встречи.
This is probably helpful, being a bit higher. And it's a cool way to end. I call this speak singing.
На закатном берегу я скучаю.
There's no apparent or obvious melody, but it is still a series of pitches. It's more than speaking in terms of melodiousness, but less than singing.
Скучаю по тебе.
And of course how he ends with just pure air. No audible pitch or notes for that final phrase to end the song. Yeah, I was not expecting that. That was very different to the other songs. Very modern sounding. Reminded me of Space. The fact that they had the planetary images on the screen. There must be some kind of theme there. Really cool and interesting. I guess Igor and Dimash are full of surprises. That's the only non-surprising thing. Let me know how you find this song compared to the other songs, because it is quite different, this one. Alright, let's leave that one there. Thank you to everyone for watching as always. Would appreciate a like, subscribe and a comment. If you enjoy my content, want to support me, join the community, vote on polls, get access to perks, you can do so by joining the Patreon linked on the screen now, and I will see you next time.